All right, Mekone turned 70. We can see that most of these attacks are from us, so it looks like we did not get magic phased onto pretty much at all, which is a good sign. Continuing to bring in units. Looks like I doubled down on the Mind Hunt, but it did not work out. So yeah, probably a waste of time and gems, but I do hate Bane Venom Charms. And then let's take a look at some of these. Most of these are not too interesting, right? So, kind of just, I'm not sure if this is like losses or if Calum is intentionally kind of scattering some units around. I do think there are benefits to kind of just adding even unled troops. Like these corpse constructs can trip things up, right? Because like a thug that's not ready for lightning damage might get stunned, and then the PD can take care of them, but the Peltasts don't really care too much. So the Peltasts do fine. It's not attrition free, right? These groups are going to trit out relatively quickly, which I talked about how I don't really have like a stream of them coming forward. So I think, for this strategy to really shine, you need replacements moving forward because you're going to lose Healit Peltasts. And then, similar story here, against decent PD, actually. I think this might even be more than 6. And then kind of surprised about this one. This is also, again, just our Healit Peltasts, maybe a slightly larger group. But yeah, they're up against quite a bit of PD. This is probably 10, maybe even 15. And I think 1 or 2 random units. It is really bad PD, right? The PD type, it's just militia and light infantry who don't even get the javelin. And yeah, I've got them set to fire, which I think usually is the right choice. But in Perpetual Storm, maybe not, because a lot of them spend time throwing javelins here, and we don't get as good contact in the melee. And since so many projectiles are lost to the storm, it's maybe under Perpetual Storm conditions, just have them go straight in and melee. The other thing is no bodyguards. That's a bit of an oversight. Probably some bodyguards. Usually it's fine, but I don't know. Bodyguards, the more I play, the more it's just I know it hurts, but put a few bodyguards on. It's when it helps a lot. So anyway, Peltasts are okay. A few of those Peltasts were actually, the guys who had upgraded, which I haven't really talked about too much. They don't really get any skill bonuses as far as I know, although they do get better morale, which is nice. Although they're mixed in, with the regular slave ones, so that's not great. But they just tend to be better anyway, right? Because they only upgrade when they hit a certain XP level. So these guys are more experienced, and if you really want to min-max, these guys are probably better to raid with. Both because they're more skilled, although that's somewhat offset because they tend to have afflictions. But they cost you more money, so it's kind of better to just get rid of those guys. But it depends on how much micro you want to deal with. But Peltasts, they can do work. That was quite a bit of PD that they took down there. So this is working out so far. And then there's a battle in Tianchi with Russ attacking Calum, and this is an Ether Lord thug, probably a guy we've maybe no. I think the other guy was a hero. So he's got some astral pearls. This guy's got some air. Not sure. That might be an empowerment. I don't know if they normally get air. But yeah, pretty standard. Frostbrand, Vine Shield, Chainmail of Displacement. A little expensive, but it is really nice armor. It actually increases your defense as opposed to subtracting from it, which a lot of armors do. And then some reinvigoration, shock resistance, of course, going up against Calum, and regeneration is always nice if a little expensive. But he's up against a lot, right? And we've talked about all this, right? This is normal stuff like Spirehorn Warriors, some of those sacreds that have been summoned in, and then ghouls and some Eagle Kings. Looks like doing Iron Warriors, some Mist Forms, some Air Elementals being summoned in. It looks like most of those sacreds are on. No, not all of them. Some of them I think were on Guard Commander. Let me just double check. Yeah, a few of them were on Guard Commander, but a lot of them went in. Looks like some of these Spirehorns are just walking. Are they not Stormflyers? I thought they were. Yeah, not sure what's going on there. But yeah, air elementals are super dangerous. But this guy's already picked up an battle fright. That sucks. Morale 12. Yeah, I think this is -5. Yeah, so that's pretty rough. But not super high morale to begin with. And even though Ether Lord is ethereal, which is kind of one of the things. It's a little harder to trample ethereal units, but like, yeah, air elemental is just really, really dangerous. Trample is really, really dangerous. I think the Ether Lord is also, yeah, he's size 3, right? So you take more damage, like the greater the size differential is. So, the air elementals are size 6. He is getting some hits in, and yeah, but he's getting he's getting pushed around a lot. Now, of course, he has his ring of regeneration. Yeah, now he's kind of safe, right? But of course, as he clears squares, there's a chance that the air elementals will move in and then start to push him around again. But yeah, this is kind of more ideal, right? Spire horns don't have great magic resistance, so they they kind of provide like a cushion. It looks like he's routed now. Yeah. And he has quite a bit of damage stacked on him, but as long as he stays in his little pillow fort here, he should have a chance to regenerate back up, and he'll eventually cut his way loose. But he may not ever be able to get off, because like once he creates enough space, of course the air elementals will get back in. And then the other thing too is that these air mages back here not set to advance and cast spells. Seems like Calum doesn't really do that too much. But yeah, anyway, the air casters, they love to summon in the ethereal chaff. So, the odds of this guy ever breaking free are pretty low. So let's go ahead and speed this up, because I think this is going to take a second. Like, yeah, with the Frostbrand, he's like decently killy, although, again, Calum gets a bit of cold resistance. So the Frostbrand is not as effective here as normal. But, like, he's doing work. You can see an air elemental got in there and pushed him out of his pillow fort. Luckily, it got recreated. The sacreds are kind of dangerous, but there's just not enough density of them, right, to really threaten him. So I think it's like the air elementals are going to be what cause the problems, and then the phantasmal stuff, like, forget it. Yeah, it's like when they get pushed from the trample and there's like no nearby squares, like they can really shoot pretty far away. It's just one of the oddities of Dominion's battle system, one of the many oddities. Speaking of, we might turn timer here, right? So I think it's I think Russ is the attacker here, so Calum won't route until I think battle round like 110. It's Control C to bring up kind of that extra info, which is usually not relevant, but in situations like this. So like, yeah, as long as he stays in his pillow fort, like, he might get enough kills to trigger an HP route. Obviously, like, he's never gonna kill Calum's mages, which of course is one of the advantages of not advancing and casting spells. Much safer. But like, yeah, just all the ethereal chaff. But I mean, he's still killing birds, which is good news, right? At this point, Calum would prefer, like, if there goes. So that's at least a partial route. Yeah, I think, are any of the birds? No, not all the birds have routed. So it's definitely not a full route, and there's even potentially some squads that haven't routed. Like, yeah, just your typical like late game madness battle. Like, can an Ether Lord who's afraid, who's very scaredy cat, can he escape infinite like ethereal ghost wolves and phantasms? And the answer is no. It looks like. Oh wait, unless the air elementals have something to say about it. Okay, it looks like he is gonna get off. Yeah, so just your typical madness. So yeah, he gets a ton of kills, most of which, right, is just summon garbage. So not a bad loss, really, for either side, actually. Assuming that Russ doesn't lose the Ether Lord in the retreat, of course, and picking up Battle Fright does hurt. So probably on the balance, a better battle for Calum, although like not without loss, right? Like this does hurt a bit, and then some of these Spirehorn warriors are potentially going to get scattered because there were some retreats, so that's at least a little annoying. So like, yeah, well, I like to see that's a good enough result, because yeah, Russ is our ally. And then yeah, here's our foul spawn taking out some barbarians actually. Now I mean, they retreat. Our commander retreats, actually, which is interesting. So, this group probably not going to raid again. You can see the foul spawn not so good. And then, yeah, here our Spectre knocks out, actually, well, he doesn't knock out that many Blizzard Warriors. But again, like this, you never know. Like maybe it was some retreats. But this does kind of feel like Calum, sprinkling his lands like with some other threat types, which is cool. Like that's a good move, definitely. Because these Blizzard Warriors, right? They have these frost bows, so they deal like cold damage, and I think fatigue, right? And it's magic damage, in general. So like they're kind of cool units. Like a different threat vector against a lot of raiders. They would be kind of scary. Of course, a Spectre being undead, he doesn't care about the cold. So it's kind of extra nice that we're hitting this province with our Spectre, and he can kind of lead the way, so that Peltasts can filter through afterwards. So yeah, that goes well for us. And then our final Peltast raid also works out. Very little attrition here because there's not too much PD. So yeah, I mean you can't really ask for. I think that was the last one. Yeah, people are plundering and destroying as best they can. Good work, people. Oh wait, this is our province. So turmoil. But anyway, yeah, that's complete success for all of our raids. So it's a good start. It looks like Calum is just choosing to sit back. Obviously, like they can magic phase and they have great mobilities. So that's kind of like one of the advantages that they have. He doesn't necessarily have to try to predict what I'm going to do. He can kind of just react to it, because he has so much mobility. So I'm not expecting this to continue, but a good start nonetheless. And then, maybe demons, definitely demons. Village Well turning red, ill omen, some misfortune, brigands, some unrest, and then here's the definitely demons, which is kind of sad because these storm demons bump into, I guess it's good because we keep the province. It's our shaman and our lizard shaman and our cyclops, and our cyclops is well set up against shock, right? Because we're facing off against Calum, but again, like the lizard shaman, just not so survivable. I think that was the guy with the luck pendant, but it did not do. I don't know if it did nothing for him. Let's take a quick look. It kind of looked like it did nothing for him. Which is how it goes. Oh, there you go. Luck negated otherwise fatal damage, but in the next barrage, he was killed. So that's kind of unfortunate. Did he enlarge? He at least enlarged this Cyclops, so he's real big for this battle, which is not gonna matter. And then so if we get hit with air elementals in this province, we do not have a shaman there to enlarge them. It kind of highlights the issues with this strategy. And then, Bane Venom and extra Bane Venom, lovely, and then our patrolling. So yeah, what are we up to this turn? Yeah, so kind of more of the same, a little less rating, because a lot of our groups are kind of reduced and don't have as many good targets to hit. So up here, we're going to push on with some Peltasts. This is likely to fail, especially because we could try to jump on this fort, but this is a fairly predictable move. So, there might be a PD dump here. And of course, we're down on the Peltasts. So again, running out of steam a little bit quite quickly. We are sending, we have another Peltast group, so not completely out of steam. And we can pick up some of the foul spawn here that got left behind from our cowardly commander. We're sneaking with our Spectre this turn because, we're pretty close to his capital, right? So we could pretty easily A, get jumped on, or B, get counter rated. So this guy's definitely more valuable, a lot more investment, and that's kind of the advantage of stealth, is that if he tries to cloud trapeze in on him, he's hiding and he won't get killed by air elementals. So he's going into stealth mode for this turn, and then we are moving up our, let's see, where are we moving our Elder Cyclops? I think we're moving our Elder Cyclops, in behind, as well as our kitted assassin. And this is, we're kind of expecting, right, like counterattacks. So it's like, if he jumps air elementals in, they'll wipe out this Peltast group. But then, of course, the Elder Cyclops will move in behind and hopefully kill those air elemental summoners. And then, of course, we'll have the assassin ready. Maybe should have moved the assassin to this province because we want to spread our answers out. But yeah, we want to push the assassin probably even deeper, or maybe the Cyclops even deeper. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing up here. And then I think, we're moving our stealthy Gigante squad farther up. So they're going to be moving to cover like this, very valuable province, which sadly, we should try to get rid of this unrest. We did have that down to 0 at some point, but, probably some bandits were found. And then, yeah, we are filtering in, some peltasts, right? Now that our Spectre has cleared the way. So the peltasts, will probably go for whatever looks easiest. And then this peltast group is just patrolling, mostly because I don't think they can, take either of these forts in all likelihood. And then they're going to join up, with some other peltast groups, and then they'll hopefully, assuming they aren't killed, they'll join up with this army next turn as it moves out to go after this fort. And then, of course, we have our polemarchs moving into this cave with, a good amount of kitting here, good amount of investment. I think they're going to have no problem, with whatever PD is here. And then they will jump on top of the fort to try to screen for this main army. The other advantage of having our army sit around one more turn, we're very close to Alteration 8, right, which is going to give us Will of Fates that I talked about. We really do want that, so I do think it is worth waiting one more turn. And then, these peltasts, they're just unlikely to be able to raid. They're not going to raid through this fort in all likelihood, right? So they might as well just join up with the army and provide a little more bulk. We did get some gear for our assassins here in our territory. These are lighter kitting. The fire plate I kind of just had, you probably could just get away with only a bottle of water, which is kind of the classic assassin item. It's just really good because it just summons a water elemental, and summons tend to be really powerful in assassination battles. But I just had the plate, and these guys don't have any protection otherwise, so sure, there you go, buddy. So yeah, I think these guys will be reasonably effective. We have one other one. We're going to continue to use them just in our own territory because I think ice elementals will be significantly less effective, especially against Kalim's units, or their commanders. I mean, they're units too, but units aren't usually in assassination battles because they have cold resistance, right? So, and then unfortunately, with Illwinter up, it is winter right now, but I mean, between Illwinter and the fact that Kalim has cold dominion, pretty much anywhere but our own territory, those water elementals are going to be ice elementals instead. So yeah, I think actually water bottles are a little less effective here. I kind of just defaulted to it because water bottles, those are good, and they are. But I think in this situation a little less effective, but we will be able to use them defensively in our own territory, as long as our heat scales. I think we'll be able to keep out Illwinter at least for a little bit, during summer, maybe less so in winter. But you can see, it's winter, and some of our territory that's under our dominion, right, is cold, but a lot of it isn't. So anyway, we've got those guys. We are moving up, our main group. They're going to join with this army here to just, help provide some support, and then we'll probably also be using them to storm this fortification. And then, still massing up kind of our main Doom stack. I'm not going to go into detail for this yet because we haven't really formed it up. Kind of want to see how the raiding war goes first, and how Kalim reacts, and ideally take this fort before we even move out with this army, because if I'm gonna get something hopped on and just absolutely obliterated by air elementals, I would prefer it to be the smaller army. So it's we'll kind of test the waters with this army and see how it goes. It is a little slow, but, getting, bitten early on by sending in an army quickly, and considering that Kalim is considerably larger than us, I think some caution is warranted. The downside, of course, is the longer we take, the less ally that we're going to have in Russ, in all likelihood. And then the other thing is we've been getting decently lucky in our roles for Cyclops recruitment. So we have 2 Air 2s here, which are, I think, probably the best Cyclopses because they can Cloud Trapeze. So, this is kind of what we're doing for the kitting. I wouldn't say this is quite standard yet, but a lot of this, you're going to see quite a bit. This elemental armor is an expensive item. It is reduced for Mekone, so that helps, but it's still an expensive item, right? I mean, it's 15 gems. Yeah, the hammer, and then we get a 20% reduction. Because we're Mekone. yeah, it's still expensive. But, you know, full elemental resistances, no poison resistance, but we're not expecting too much of that. It's only 10 across the board, which is good, but not perfect, especially for shock. So that's why we're giving him the Storm Spool, which will also help, you know, gives him overcharged. So it's going to help shock, you know, like chaff that comes up against him. So that'll give him 25 shock resistance. Not perfect, but enough with his hit points and the ringer regeneration that he should be relatively safe from like lightning attacks. You know, in enough numbers, he can definitely still go down to like mass Thunderstrike, but you need quite a bit. And then, you know, the helm is just going to provide some more morale. They don't have fantastic morale by default. Shielded Gleaming Gold, also like item cost is reduced for Mekone. Gives awe. It's a good shield. I kind of just like it because it's a good shield, but it also helps against kind of, you know, mid to low morale chaff. And like Spirehorn warriors definitely fall in that category. So this is going to be pretty effective against Spirehorn warriors. It's not going to do shit against the undead that Calum has been using, and his sacreds are probably mostly going to ignore this because of their high morale. So, yeah, you know, maybe questionable. But with our discount and like we have the gem types, like, I don't know. It's a good shield. I like it. And then Firebrand, also a little pricey, right? Which is why the Frostbrand, you know, sees more use. The nice thing about this is, you know, it gives us a little extra morale, which is very nice. And then, of course, like Calum has cold resistance on most of their stuff, but they don't have fire resistance on most of their stuff, though the Eagle Kings do. But anyway, so this is going to be more effective against Calum's chaff, so probably worth the extra gems, I think. So anyway, yeah, this is the kit that we're going with for this guy. We're going to drop him on stuff definitely at some point. Yeah, we're probably going to see some variation in this kit, but yeah, this is like standard-ish for now. And yeah, I think that covers the majority of it. You know, still doing the same patrolling that I was talking about before, similar casting, a little bit of forging. You know, like we need gear for this other guy. Like, yeah, he's pretty much naked. Do we have any gear for him? Not really, you know, a little bit. We do have 2 more lifelong protections. Thinking about giving one of those to an assassin, because this is a really good item for assassins. You probably only need a lifelong protection for an assassin, and it makes them quite effective. But yeah, still not 100% sure what I'm going to do with those. We do have another water bottle floating around. So yeah, I think that covers turn 70. All right, Mekone, turn 71, finish research and alteration, which we've talked about. And then I don't think construction 7, mostly looking at, I think, weapons of sharpness. And it should be a relatively easy pickup for us. I think the 9s are going to be a little tough for us to take advantage of in this conflict, at least quickly. Going with some Mind Hunt, but yeah, resisted. We do have some penetration gear on this lady, but it's just not going well for us. And then a little remote site searching. We do need some more water, and this one was a success, so that's nice. And then yeah, this is kind of like more what I was expecting in the previous turn. So you know, Calum is now striking out against us. So let's take a look at some of these. So yeah, he likes this Arouse Hunger, you know, which is a remote attack spell in death, and it's not bad, but it runs into one of our Peltas raiding squads that's mustering, and then also our Cyclops, who has been enlarged. Not that it's going to matter here, and like, yeah, this is way too much stuff. I think even the PD and our Peltas are going to be enough. Our Cyclops doesn't even really get involved, so that doesn't work out. But it is a little sad that we waste a nature gem on that. You know, it triggers gem usage, which is kind of, yeah. But it is what it is. And then, yeah, we're being attacked. This is our Peltasts that we're kind of mustering to join our main army. And, you know, they're just getting hit by birds, it looks like. Probably should have grouped them together, I guess. And I think they are set to attack now. Rather than... Oh, what are these guys doing? I would have thought they were on attack closest. But, oh, here comes the air elementals. Ooh, and that was a Shadow Blast. Ouch. That does cost some gems, though, and yeah, so there's definitely some air elementals coming in here. Another Shadow Blast. So we are at least, you know, chewing up some gems, but yeah, against an air elemental, and with like this level, here's some undead being summoned in, and like, yeah, 2 air elementals, Shadow Blasts, like, yeah, Peltas, you're not gonna be able to handle that. So that does not work out for us. But, we do at least route the birds, and, we chew up a decent amount of gems, and, we don't really care too much. Like, this is... it's hard to judge, like, gem expenditure versus, like, gold loss. But this is probably not in our favor, I would guess. And, of course, we lose the province, too, which is... It definitely matters. So that one's a loss, but not a super painful loss. Speaking of non-painful losses, this is probably going to also be a loss. So he's brought out a Lion Tribe Witch Doctor, just an indie nature mage, and he's got some nature gems, probably doing some protection, I guess, or wooden warriors, bark skin on himself. He's also got some air gems here, so, air elementals. We were expecting air elementals. Okay, looks like the Peltasts are still set to fire. The birds are walking, which is kind of weird. Swarm, okay, classic. We're not going to win this one either. Spoiler. But, some Fel Spawn and some Peltasts, that's okay. I don't mind baiting out these groups with this. It's kind of the advantage of, again, like I said, high intensity, low commitment is kind of what I'm aiming at here. And I don't think I'm doing it perfectly. But, I think it's somewhat paying dividends because, we're losing stuff, but it's fine. We're not losing that much. And we get to see what he does and burn a bunch of gems, and then we're going to get a chance to do our own magic phase interception. So this is a Polemark group. Let's see. Ooh, this is a heavy Polemark group. So this is our main guys that we've invested so much into, and then this guy is trying to enlarge our Polemarks. Oh man, I remember this one. Hang on, we gotta watch this from the start. Oh, this is just Dominions at its finest. Wait, this isn't the right battle. Sorry, guys. Okay, it was in Gentle Woods. Took me a second to find it again. Look at this guy. He's not exactly, he's one square away, this Lizard Shaman, right? And it's Lizard Shaman, you have one job. You have one job. And he misses. He gets the square next to him. How do you miss this? So he doesn't enlarge. He does at least get the body ethereal. Oh, man. So that was a waste of a nature gem. And it kind of matters here, too. Because I think there's going to be air elementals coming out. Yep, here they come. So, boy, it sure would be nice if we were size 5. But we are at least ethereal, right? And, now he retreats because he realizes that these giants are, 100% going to kill me for failing. So we see the birds away with no problem. But now we are unfortunately only size 4. And I don't know where the air elementals are. Oh, they're busy cleaning up PD. And it looks like we didn't actually route all the birds. They just decided, hey, let's go mess with the PD. Luckily, we are generating about a bazillion imps. So lifelong protections are really powerful. We are ethereal. We have a bunch of other buffs on. These guys are super geared. We have one of them set to cast spells. Shatter is a decent spell against magic beings, I think. So it's going to do work against air elementals. Air elementals also don't really have any fire resistance, so flame eruption is decent. Blade Wind is okay. Yeah, we get a hit in there. I think this guy has a Frostbrand. And so, so it works out. But not thanks to our Lizard Shaman. I think the Ethereal does help. But, yeah, would have been nice if that Nature Gem actually did something for us. So we come away with it in Gentle Woods. And then, we just lose some PD here to just a few birds. They're probably just guard commandering. Well, let's just double check. But this looks like an air elemental raid. Definitely. Yeah, these guys are just bodyguards. And, yep, there's the air gems. Looks like he missed forms first, but then the air elemental will no doubt come out. Well, storm power, right? That makes sense because he can summon them for cheaper. So, yeah, there's the air elemental, and, that's how that goes. And then we have a few attacks. So not all of our raids were canceled. Yeah, this was the sort of questionable raid, right? Just our, I think, 16 Helit Peltasts, and whoo, they run into a big old force. I think there's an Eagle King in here. Oh yeah, and he's super kitted, and he's got some of these summons and a bunch of Spire Horns, and spoiler, that doesn't work out for our Peltast. So again, the momentum runs out relatively quickly. But like, yeah, if we're tying up all this with like 16 Peltasts, like I said, I'm okay with that. Those birds are not raiding in our lands. And then, yeah, this is one of our polemarch groups, unsupported by a shaman at all. Fairly heavy kitting, but kind of older kitting. And they run into an air elemental kill squad. So, this is the problem. This is a really obvious raid, right? Like, we only have one province to go to. I didn't actually think there was this many area seraphs, like, nearby in this fort. But, yeah, they're birds, right? So they can run, or they can fly really far. So we're bringing in a few of our summons, so that's kind of cool with our spellcaster. And, these guys are going to do okay against air elementals, right? Because they have magic weapons, but they are only size 2, so they're going to get nice and trampled. You can see we're getting some hits in here, so it's going okay. There's an incinerate. That's good news. That's from our caster, right? And this guy's got a Frostbrand. He is fairly high on fatigue, so that's kind of sad. And, he's taking damage. He does have a Ring of Regeneration, so, he'll regenerate that up, but not super quickly. We've lost, most of our summons here. They've been killed by the air elementals. Ooh, looks like they're both on advance and cast spells. That's a bit of a mistake, because, now they're both going to fatigue themselves out. They do both... No, only one Shocking Helm here. That's what that lightning is. But yeah, I think a second round, of air elementals are being summoned. So that's good. That's bad news, right? Yeah, there goes 1, and there goes 2. Especially if you're asleep, I think it's much easier to trample you. So yeah, that hurts a lot. Let's see, that was, here in the halls. So, like I said, the polemarchs, they don't do great against the air elementals. I think the lizard shamans are kind of a requirement if we're going to try to do these polemarch groups. The body ethereal and enlarging them to size 5, they'll still be trampled, but it won't be as effective. This is also a decent amount of air elementals, right? Is summoning in 3 and then 6, and then probably add some more queued up. So the downside of making an obvious raid, and it kind of highlights that our polemarchs are going to be less useful in this conflict. So yeah, that hurts. And then we get attacked by Calum. Let's see. Speaking of polemarchs, so this is one of our Peltast raiding groups that was queued up to go. See, so he gets his body ethereal scripted first. He succeeds there. Come on, lizard shaman. So you can see when he's next to him, I guess for whatever reason, right, with enlarge, you better be right next to him if you want that spell to hit. So it does go off. So these polemarchs are enlarged, which is nice. They both have rings of regeneration. They also get extra hit points from the enlarging. Now this guy's set to retreat because he surely will not survive this battlefield. And then, some flame bolts, which, who cares? And then Eagle Kings, we do care about that. He's fairly kitted. He's got some air gems. Here's an air elemental. They also summon an ice elemental, which could actually be a bit of a problem. The birds are walking, which, kind of weird. Do we have any cold resistance? We do have a bit of cold resistance, so we're not going to care about that ice elemental. Did you put yourself to sleep? No, you're just buffing yourself, because that's a disadvantage of setting him to advance and cast spells. I think this guy's on attack rear, which could be a little freaky. Obviously, our Peltasts get eliminated easily, and then, this guy, he's trying to flame eruption the birds, which is fair enough, but it's the air elementals that are most dangerous. But we can see... being size 5 helps a lot, and of course, Ring of Regeneration is helping. He's also ethereal. So, when they're supported by the lizard shamans and all the buffs go off, and then that's a solid cast, then the polemarchs are a little more viable. I'm not sure what this guy's been up to, but he's doing fine. It looks like he's just been busy fighting summons. He is in a much safer position because he's not fighting any air elementals. The other thing too, right, is once we're size 5, we only have to knock down the air elemental 1 size, and then they can't trample us anymore. And we get the route. It looks like the full route, and some of these mages are asleep, so we get 1 mage. And that's probably going to be it. I guess these guys are not storm flyers. Yeah, so that's at least why these mages are not flying. So that works out for us. We do lose some Peltasts there, of course, such is the way of it. And did our shaman retreat successfully? He did. So like that's kind of the, I don't know about best case, but a good case. And we get one area seraph. Would have liked to get more of those casters, because like, yeah, the rest of these casualties he doesn't care so much about, but every area seraph we can kill is important, and we also retain this province, so that is definitely a better result. And then, yeah, Russ, I don't know, he had nothing holding this, and so he does not stop this raiding group. And then, unexpected events, village well, people disappearing, feuding, all the normal stuff, demon worship, warring tribes, a treasure, yes. Slave collar, not too useful. 405 gold, though, very much appreciated. And a few gems, that's fine. This one's not so great. So the earthquake is fine, like population minus 600, whatever. This province sucks. But these horrible monsters appearing from cracks in the ground, well, that's a bit of a problem. So yeah, we get attacked, and trogs, a lot of trogs, who aren't like fantastic, but they are tramplers. And yeah, this is a province where I had, I've messed up pretty badly with this Polemarch group. They should be sat on top of each other. And instead, and we do have a lizard shaman here, right, who's got his nature gem, and then this is where the other lizard shaman who just successfully buffed his group, he retreated to this province, so now he's going to be involved in this combat, and like, yeah, this is a lot of trogs, and we don't have a lot of PD here, and our Polemarchs did not get enlarged. Maybe one of them got enlarged. No, doesn't look like it. Yeah, so I don't know what happened. He probably missed, but yeah, you can see like our guy just disappears under like just a freaking swarm of trogs. Trogs do quite a bit of damage, and right, we're set up to try to resist shock, which reduces our protection to the point where, like, even once we've buffed it up through spells, we still take a lot of damage. These guys also don't have any rings of regeneration, although I think honestly, even with the rings of regeneration, this amount of trogs probably would have taken us out. We do kill some, which is something, but yeah, so that's sad. We lose Lizard Shaman. That same Lizard Shaman, he's running. So he does escape. That's good. But yeah, we lose quite a bit of gear. We lose 2 more Polemarchs just to independence. So, such is the nature of things. And then, yeah, some deadly diseases. We patrol out some scouts. And Mekone was eliminated. Not really sure what happened there, but not really relevant to us. So yeah, let's see what we're up to this turn. So yeah, continuing to try to keep up the raiding pressure, our Spectre is going to activate this turn, and he's going to attack somewhat deep. So hopefully this is less predictable than say like a raid here where we lose some Polemarchs. Speaking of down here, our Peltas group that was, planning on just trailing in behind is now just going to try to recapture. I think this is where we killed the commander. Maybe not. Let's just double check. Yeah, we did not. But I do think this commander, let's double check. We didn't actually watch this. I think he used all of his gems. And if that is the case, yeah, so he used all his gems, so unless he has a gem carrier here, which probably not, but he could have pre-positioned one, these Peltasts should be able to take him out, and I mean, he may move on, we'll see, but regardless, we want to recapture that province. The other big thing is we are moving our army out, right? We have the research that we wanted. We did talk through this army more or less. I don't think we actually have Will of the Fates in here. We do have mass protection, so that's nice. But yeah, we don't quite have enough Lizard Shamans over here for Will of the Fates, which is sad. So we're sneaking the boosters along with our gem reloads. And I think we're going to move or teleport in a Lizard Shaman later to do it. It's not great. So we're hoping we're not going to get jumped on immediately. We'll see. We're also not really screening this force anymore. We've kind of lost right, we were planning on screening them with the Polemarchs, and they're gone. So we could move more Polemarchs out to screen, but yeah, that just seems like we would lose more Polemarchs. So, well, we're not screening this. The good news is that we have 2 options, right? We could hop on this fort, or we could hop on this fort. So where this army goes from this province is less clear. And I mean, this is, I think, a more valuable province, and where Calum has massed like more forces. So I think it does kind of look like he's abandoning this fort potentially. I mean, obviously he's still like defending the approach with mages, but he doesn't really have a lot in here. So yeah, we are gonna go down here probably. Still not 100% sure, I think, at this point, which is kind of a good thing, right? It's like, well, yeah, we could go either way, and I'm not really sure. So yeah, we'll see how that attack goes. But if this army is wiped out, we do still have another army, and then we should be able to react to whatever wipes it out. And of course, like, it looks like quite a few of the forces like on his capital, right, were deployed up here, to deal with these raiders. And then the other thing is we are kind of collapsing, right, a bunch of our raid groups in, to try to wipe this out. We'll see. Also a little bit worried, right, like this is a Polemarch group, and this guy's out of gems. I don't really have enough gem carriers, so yeah, I probably should have just dropped a couple nature gems, like maybe one a piece on the Polemarchs themselves, because they can't use the nature gems up, and then they could have fed them to the lizard shamans. Of course, a lot of times I'm having the lizard shamans retreat. This is our fellow who retreated from 2 props. So he actually, I think he was buffing this group, and so he retreated here, and then he retreated back from the trogs. So but since I'm having the lizards like retreat a lot of times, then it's like we're carrying a reload kind of doesn't even matter. Yeah, it's kind of hard to integrate these lizard shamans in with these groups, and yeah, I'm not really loving how it's going, because we need them for other stuff, right? It's like I don't have enough like for the armies, so kind of using them out here in these raiding capacities is like probably too expensive. Anyway, so we're moving a bunch of these different groups, right? Our hidden gigantes, one of our cyclopses, just into a large group, right? Because he has like a pretty large counter-raiding group here. So we're hoping that if we bring everything together, we might be able to defeat this. And you never know, we might destroy this, and we will take a province, and then we can potentially like threaten this fort. So we'll see. And then we are bringing up some Polemarchs. With a lizard shaman, in retrospect, I think this was a mistake. I think probably I should have pulled these guys out. But it's like it has worked sometimes. So it's like, yeah, pushing them forward. Like, we got them. We need to do more raiding. And like I said, I don't really have too many Peltast groups coming up like to keep the pressure going, which I think is like probably the number one failing overall in this attack. Not that has been going badly. And then the last like major like new thing, we got some cloud trapezes going on, right? We have 1, 2, I think just 3 cloud trapezes, maybe 4. No, we are bringing in more of these sorceresses. She's mind hunting. I think we are mind hunting. What was this? 199. Yeah, so now we're switching our mind hunting intentions rather than trying to get rid of Bane Venom Charms. We're going after Calum's Raiders, right? So that's the other thing is, yeah, there's a commander here, but they might get mind hunted out, in which case like these Peltas should have no problem retaking this. So yeah, but just 3 cloud trapezes this turn. So let's see, where is this guy going? Yeah, so we're gonna drop a Cyclops on top of this fort to lock it down, which will probably also, convince Calum that this is, probably where we're coming. And then I think actually our other guy is going. Oh, he's going in the halls. Okay, right. So rather than locking down the other fort, we are looking to kill, right? And this is where the air elemental kill squad was that just wiped out our Polemarchs, but they're probably out of gems. And they, there's a good chance they don't have reloads. So, no air elementals. And so, yeah, we're going to try to he wipes out one of our groups with magic phase. Well, we can wipe that group out with our counter magic phase. And I think it's going to be a bit of a he gets to go and then we get to go while he's resetting, and then he'll get to go while we're resetting. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. This is really the first time that I've had access to, I wouldn't even say a lot of magic phase attacks, really any magic phase attacks. That's not true. I had a few magic phase attacks in my other playthrough with Early Age Ulm, but this is the first time I've had them like recruitable built into the nation, and like really the first time that I'm getting to see a lot of like back and forth counterplay with magic phase attacks. So it's pretty interesting, and like I think it's going to go well for us. Where this guy I think is actually So we're going to use our unkitted Archon, who himself is air elementals, right? Like we can do air elementals too, and Perpetual Storm works just fine for us. So I'm not really expecting much, if any, resistance here on top of this fort. Like it looks like we lost sight on it, so there could be some stuff in here, but it was pretty empty, and I think probably whatever was in it has moved out in an attempt to counter raid. It doesn't really seem like the Kalem player, is doing like huge PD dumps, at least to the point that are going to stop air elementals. So fingers crossed that our first set of magic phase attacks in this game are going to work out, and I think that covers turn 71.